when I got here, unfortunately, I was thrown into a Spanish school without having learned Spanish. So again, I was bullied or started getting bullied because I didn't speak the language.
Good evening, Daniel. How are you this fine, cold, and crisp Andalusian evening?
It's a bit crisp, isn't it? So there's the temperatures thinking it was going to get warmer, and it's a little bit chillier today. So yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm very well. I actually had to put on the tracksuit top because I felt a little bit nippy, which is short sleeves. But you've got a roaring fire going, haven't you?
The radiator's on down there.
Cheating. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, we've had some very good comments on some of the videos, and one particular that came from Tessa Jones, who said, "I love this. Half Spanish. I'm Australian, but I feel like I'm maybe Spanish and should move to Spain. Hubby and I are discussing the move, and our young kids. Ola from Australia." And I guess we can talk about the fact that people moving over here with children. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Depending on the age of children. I think we should touch on that a little bit, really.
It all depends on your status. I mean, a lot of people ask me about living in Spain, and I say, well, it depends on what you want to do. Are you coming here to find a job? Are you coming here to open a business? Are you coming here with work in another part of Europe or the world that you're able to work on what they call a nomad visa, enjoy the lovely cost of living down here while obtaining a salary from elsewhere where the salary is rather much higher? If you're coming down here to retire, are you living off a pension? But if you're coming down here with kids, that is a huge debate.
And it's a massive culture shock as well for children, depending on their age. I mean, you've got the difficulty if they're very young. It's not as difficult because they're like sponges. They'll adapt extremely quickly. Once you get past a certain age, you've got the language situation, you've got the friends that they've made, they've got the interaction, you've got the integration, and the older you get, the harder it is because of friends, because of interest. Because it's a tough one. That one, it is a tough one.
I mean, we both got two daughters, and they were all born in Spain, so they've grown up completely bilingual and understand enough about the British culture and probably more about the Spanish culture because they lived here. So even though they might feel a touch British, they probably in their heart of hearts probably feel more Spanish because they're just ingrained in them as they've lived here. But you yourself came here at quite a late age, didn't you? How old were you when you moved to Spain?
I was 13 and a half.
And how difficult did you find that transaction, if you can remember that far back?
Well, for me, if I can remember that far back, it's not that long ago. Oh, easy target. For me, it was different because I wasn't in a happy place in the UK. I mean, I was bullied at school, and when we moved over here, obviously, I thought when I was asked it, what we want to move to Spain. What do you think? And I was like, yeah, of course, get me out of here, type thing. When I got here, unfortunately, I was thrown into a Spanish school without having learned Spanish. So again, I was bullied or started getting bullied because I didn't speak the language, which made me drop out of school very quickly. I started working at an early age. I started working when I was 14. I started bar working. So it has changed a lot, but the bullying still happens. The segregation of people still happens. And if you're not preparing your kids and giving them a little bit of a head start with that change, unless you're putting them into private schooling in their own language and learning Spanish as a second language, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it was Tessa, wasn't it? I think she said she was half Spanish. So hopefully she will be teaching her kids Spanish from an early age. I have a friend who's in Kentucky in the States, and his wife is Spanish, and she speaks to their daughter in Spanish, and he speaks to her in English, and she's already bilingual. So yeah. that is such an advantage for a kid. It is difficult to come over here, and you do see various schools here that obviously go for the immigrant or expat markets, be it the Brits or the Swedes or the Finns, and all that makes these kids is more segregated from the locals. And once again, they get into smaller groups. It doesn't help them with the integration in general. And you do sometimes find, and I'm always quite shocked, that you speak to a Brit or a Finn or something like that, and they don't even know the name of the Prime Minister of Spain or the President of the government, as it's called here. So you want to avoid that because Spain has so much to offer. But I think if a child is coming over and they're pretty older than 9 or 10 years old, they're going to struggle if they haven't got some sort of basic language skills. And it's human nature that they will be picked on at school.
Oh, totally, 100%. And it's that finely tuned as well, is the fact that because you speak Spanish in a different accent with different pronunciation, because of all of those little things alienate you from who you're engaging with on a daily basis, and they'll pick you out. We know that kids can be nasty as well, and I think we've all seen that side of things in our own lives when we were kids. We've all seen that because someone wore a decent pair of shoes and someone didn't, or a different tracksuit than you, and you get picked on. So imagine when you sound a little bit different, or when you look a little bit different. It's just giving ammunition for that to happen, and they have to be very strong characters. You're moving from a different country. You're moving from a different environment, different group of people that you've been used to for so long. All of a sudden, to be thrown in the deep end from a very early age, you've got to be they've got to be strong characters to be able to take that off.
I know several couples over here, some who are still here and some who have gone, and their kids have been moved from school to school to school, and they've struggled. And it's always, oh, it's the kids. But it's actually they've created that problem themselves. And you always take your hat off to someone for approaching a new life, taking the big step of moving to a new culture. But you've got to prepare yourself for it. Right. Let's talk about. I think something that's changed a lot here, as we both know, over the last couple of years, is these nomad visas. Now, people don't know what a nomad visa is because there were so many people after COVID. People were working remotely. The Spanish government and various countries around Europe decided it'd be a good idea to tax people if they registered that they lived in Spain. So what a lot of these people are doing, for instance, there's a lot of Scandinavians here where we live down south, and they are picking up good 4,000 or 5,000 euro salaries a month, but they're living down here and enjoying the perks of a cheaper lifestyle here. Where I go to the gym, there's so many Dutch and Scandinavians who are doing that precise thing, but they don't blink twice at paying 1,500 euros a month for a one-bedroom apartment.
Oh yeah. The visa situation is going to be a sore subject for a lot of people. But it's such a draw at the minute. And who wouldn't want to live in a better place than your own country, especially in the winter months, colder months, and horrible places, and spend your money elsewhere? I don't understand really though why the government is taking such a. I know the housing issue is part of it, but why they're all of a sudden taking on this stance about the money coming in and how it's coming in. Surely if the money is coming in from another country and it's being spent here in food, in electricity bills, and as long as it's obviously being declared, and it's coming into the economy, so why is it such a bad thing for them? I mean, they're just trying to shoot themselves in the foot a little bit. I don't get it.
I think they're in a catch-22 situation. They can't win either way, can they? Because they're trying to appease their voters. Because even though I'm a resident in Spain and have a residency here, I'm not allowed to vote in a national election. So when they're trying to appease the locals, obviously, which would make sense. And it is a big issue here, as we've touched on in other videos, with the price of apartments and things like that. And these people, these nomads are coming in. I think the Canary Islands has a ridiculous amount of those. And that's led to a lot of these protests down there. Okay, let's move away from the nomads. I think also to retire down here would be a good thing. A lot of people come here to retire. I wouldn't say it's quite like a Bournemouth down here yet, where it's a lot of old population there. You'll know Bournemouth better than me. But whereas before, a lot of older Brits would come down here, they seem to be disappearing a lot now. I think that might be a Brexit thing or thing like that. And they're replaced by a lot of people who've retired early in life, maybe in their late 50s or early 60s, and were more professional people. I don't know what your take is on that.
Yeah, you're seeing that. I think the amount of people that are coming over here now later on to retire is less. Obviously, yes, we know that the 90-day situation is going to be a sore subject again. But yeah, no, I definitely feel that it's more professional people coming down now and trying to do that. What gets me with the way that it's being done and the property side of things, just to touch on that really quickly, is the construction side of things. If the price of construction is still so high, and the people that have bought off plan, that haven't, well, they put a deposit down or whatever, they still can't complete. Now, this first, I think it's the 1st of April or the 15th of April, where the new law comes in and changes. They can no longer apply for their golden visa because of the property, because of the amount. But the construction companies have been given the permission to do the building, and did the construction under those conditions, they now
Yeah.
find themselves in a position where they can't sell to the people that they were targeting, which were going to sell. That's one issue. The price of construction, the price of materials, everything's been going up, and the wages haven't. The system in Spain for people to earn more money hasn't changed enough for the people that are here to buy properties or those properties to go on the property market. So again, they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, it's. I mean, wait. I mean, let's not beat around the bush. The wages have gone up here, and I know they've gone up a fair bit over the last couple of years, but still not enough to get people on the property ladder. One of the most mysterious things the government are, they're attacking people who are buying any property over €500,000, which, to be fair, I would imagine most of those people buying that are either from places like Madrid, where they've got money, or from overseas, because that's that market. So by making those people more difficult, all you're gonna is just kill the end of the property market, in my humble opinion. People don't realise, if they're thinking of just getting on a plane and flying over and getting themselves a job. Clearly, if you're British, that's a lot more difficult now with Brexit and with 90-day things. But people don't earn a lot of money down here, and it's a thing. People do find it very good. Someone put it in the comments the other day that it's a good work-life balance, but you're saving not saving lots of money and going on big holidays and things like that. You're having a good quality of life day to day, but on an okay wage. But the wages here are very low. But I know people come here and struggle to find work. I mean, we talked about the other day. You're employed at the moment. I wouldn't mind doing some part-time work. I think I'm quite a catch for any business, and I don't want to be a bartender again, because I owned a bar for 22 years. But I would love to do something part-time, but there's very little for me to do. And because I'm a 53-year-old foreign person here, even though I speak Spanish, there's not much I can get, because there's not much work.
Mm. No, it is. It's hard, and depending on the sector you want to be in as well, it can be harder or not. One thing to keep in consideration as well for Tessa is that I believe it's still in place, that there is dual nationality agreement with Australia and Spain. So, for example, if you're an Australian national, you can have dual nationality if you are of Spanish descent. So you can have both. As her children will have I've always had a Spanish mother, then they will be able to have dual nationality, which makes a huge difference as well when it comes to a future for them having an NA, which is Spanish nationality or Spanish national card. I mean, I know from experience that I was classed as a foreigner when I wanted to go for a credit card, and I've been here. Well, that was 14 years ago or 15 years ago, and the card was authorized and then denied the next day. When I went to pick it up, they said no, it's denied. And why? It's all because you're foreign. Now, if that would have been because I had then it wouldn't have happened because I'm a Spanish national.
Yeah.
If those little things make a little difference, and even though they got better, it still happens. So, like I say, I do believe that Australia's got that agreement still with Spain.
It is interesting because pre-COVID, there was a lot of Spanish looking to go to Australia, and that doesn't seem so much now. Now Australians are looking to come here. I mean, there's a lot of YouTube full of Americans who want to come here and Canadians for obvious reasons. But it's an odd one, and the expression "the grass is always greener on the other side" can apply, but it also cannot apply, because you do have the most wonderful lifestyle here, but it's probably a lot different than you think. And if my advice would be, if anybody's coming here, if you can find a place to rent for 6 months. Don't come here and just buy a house. Come here for 6 months, see if you like it, check out the schools and things like that. Because levels of education, even education, is getting far better in Spain now. It's improving on a weekly basis, it seems here, as we both know from having kids in schools. It is different to a lot of other countries still, where the way they teach people, the way the curriculum is structured, and the exam system here is structured. So it can take a lot of getting used to, both for the parents and the children.
We also know that some of the schools that are in other languages or other native languages aren't as good as they're supposed to be, because they're not following certain standards, because they're not governed by those standards in some ways as well. So we just got to be careful with things like that. For anyone that's coming over and looking for that, look, really, don't follow a trend just because of a group of people. Really look into the educational platform, the curriculum that they're using, and so on, and get the feedback from that.
So our big takes from this conversation would be: do your homework. Yeah, before you come in, make sure you go into the right area. We're talking basically where we are in Andalusia, where we're blessed with the wonderful weather. But in Galicia, once again, I always use Galicia and Andalusia, which are the two extremes, really. Even though Galicia has the most wonderful summers, the winters there can be quite harsh. Even though the cost of living there is lower than it is here, the cost del Sol, where we are, is maybe one of the most expensive areas for Spain at the moment for renting and things like that. For once again, clearly obvious reasons. Investigate schools. Try and learn some of the language if you're going to make the big jump.
Preparation. Just do, yeah, as you're saying, do your homework and prepare your. If you're bringing children over, prepare your children for that change as best as you possibly can. Equip them with knowledge of where they're going, some basic knowledge of the language of where they're going to, and things like that. That will help them immensely because it's a big change for them.
A lot of cultural differences. We did a video on a kind of jokey video on cultural differences, but things like meal times and things like that. You see it all the time on social media. Americans going back to their hotel at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and people are going out to eat. So it's there are a lot of things that you need to get your head around. But there's enough information out there. There's enough decent channels on YouTube and other forms of social media that you can do your homework. Just don't put the tinted glasses on that everything will be wonderful when you get here. Yes, it can be wonderful, and we both have amazing lives here. And I would recommend to taking a leap of faith if you're up for it. But it does go wrong a lot of the times. And a sad thing about my time here is that I gave up making new friends at one point because people tended to go back so often. Yeah, you meet someone, you get on with them, then 6 months later they're leaving to go back home, wherever that may be it Norway, be it the UK or the States. That happens a lot, and there are stats are proving that. So there we are.
Yep. Thank you very much, Tessa. Thank you for taking part, for your comment. And that's how easy it is to engage with us. Drop a comment below. Let us know what grabs your attention, what you want to talk about, what you're thinking of doing, what you've thought about saying. Let us know, and we'll bring it up in a conversation and maybe shed some light on something that you didn't know about. Who knows? You never really know. Comment, like, share, do all of those things you need to do. And share it with as many people as you can, because they might be thinking something similar to you.
We're going to start. We start answering some of these comments. We get a few comments. I mean, there's a controversial. I think it was Patrick who asked us about whorehouses. So that was a bit of a controversial one. I'm not sure if our audience is ready for that yet. But there we go. Right, Dan. I will bid you farewell. Turn your radiator up and stay warm, my friend. Hopefully tomorrow the sun will shine again.
Lovely and toasty, mate. Lovely and toasty.
All right, buddy. Good to see you. Look after yourself.